In the next 3 seconds, ask yourself this one question: are you living for today? Or are you building for the next 100 years? Because history doesn't remember those who maintain the present. History remembers those who dared to design the future. There was once a young visionary named Arden, born into a kingdom that had survived for centuries by doing one thing while staying exactly the same. The buildings were old, the traditions older, and the thinking oldest of all. The elders called it stability. The people called it safety. But deep inside Arden, something felt dangerously wrong. While others celebrated comfort, he sensed stagnation. While others praised tradition, he smelled decay hiding beneath it. Arden was not born powerful. He was born curious. As a child, he didn't ask normal questions. He didn't ask how things worked, he asked why they never changed. He stared at the borders of his kingdom and wondered what lay beyond them. He listened to merchants speak of distant lands with faster ships, stronger tools, better systems, and sharper minds. And every time he heard those stories, a fire grew louder in his chest. By the time Arden was young, he understood something most leaders never do. A nation doesn't collapse from enemies outside, it collapses from outdated thinking inside. His kingdom feared the future, they mocked innovation, they worshipped the past, and that, Arden realized, was the most dangerous enemy of all. So while others chased pleasure, Arden chased knowledge. He disguised himself and traveled beyond his borders. He worked with builders who shaped stone like clay. He studied navigation with sailors who read the stars like books. He watched engineers turn raw materials into power. He learned discipline from soldiers, precision from scholars, and strategy from traders. He slept on cold floors, ate simple food, and filled notebooks with ideas that frightened even him. Every night, he wrote the same sentence at the top of every page: what we build today decides who we become tomorrow. When Arden finally returned home, he was no longer just a young man with ideas. He was a threat to the old way of thinking. He went before the council and laid out his vision, not for 10 years, not for a generation, but for the next 100 years. He spoke of modern education, global trade routes, disciplined institutions, scientific learning, stronger infrastructure, and a people trained not just to obey, but to think. The room went silent, then laughter broke out. They called him reckless. They said the people weren't ready. They said change would bring chaos. They said tradition had protected them for centuries and would continue to do so. They told him, kindly but firmly, to think smaller. That was the moment the tension began. Because Arden now faced a choice every visionary faces: surrender to comfort, or fight for a future no one else could yet see. He chose the harder path. Without permission, Arden began building, quietly at first. He gathered young minds, those ignored by the system, underestimated by society. He trained them relentlessly. He opened small academies that taught science, engineering, navigation, and leadership. He restructured training for workers and soldiers alike. He demanded discipline, learning, and excellence, not because it was easy, but because survival demanded it. The resistance was fierce. Old leaders sabotaged his plans. Rumors spread that he was destroying tradition. People feared losing what little they had. Arden became unpopular, isolated, criticized. But he never stopped. He built roads where there were none. Knowing they would outlive him, he invested in ships that took years to complete. Knowing trade would transform the kingdom long after his death, he forced painful reforms, short-term discomfort for long-term dominance. And every time doubt crept in, he returned to one truth: leaders who only think of today doom tomorrow. Years passed. Slowly, painfully, change took root. Young citizens trained under the new system began outperforming everyone else. Trade expanded. Knowledge multiplied. The kingdom's influence grew. And the same voices that once mocked Arden began to quiet down. But Arden never slowed. He knew momentum was fragile, so he pushed harder. He documented everything: systems, structures, principles, so future leaders wouldn't need to guess. He created institutions designed to evolve, not freeze in time. His goal was simple but brutal: build a nation that could adapt faster than the world could change. Near the end of his life, Arden walked through a city that once stood as a symbol of stagnation. Now it buzzed with innovation. Ships filled the harbor. Students debated ideas freely. Builders shaped the skyline. A young apprentice approached him and asked, "Why did you sacrifice so much when you could have lived comfortably?" Arden paused and said, "Comfort is cheap. Legacy is expensive. And the future always charges interest." When Arden passed away, many mourned, but something remarkable happened. The nation did not slow down. It accelerated. Because he had built systems, not dependence. Vision, not vanity. Direction, not dictatorship. Decades later, historians would say Arden didn't rule a kingdom, he redesigned time itself for his people. And this is where the story turns toward you. Because the world you live in right now is shaped by people you will never meet. Roads, systems, technologies, opportunities, all built by someone who planned far beyond their own lifetime. The question is not whether you will leave a mark. The question is whether that mark will fade or endure. You don't need a crown to think like Arden. You need courage. Courage to think long-term in a short-term world. Courage to invest in learning when others chase comfort. Courage to build when others complain. Courage to plan for a future you may never personally enjoy. If you think in days, you'll struggle. If you think in years, you'll survive. But if you think in decades, if you think in centuries, you will lead. So start now. Build habits that outlive moods. Learn skills that outlast trends. Create systems that don't rely on motivation. Think beyond applause. Think beyond fear. Think beyond yourself. Because the greatest legacy is not fame, it's foundation. And if this story gave you clarity, purpose, or direction even for a moment, then take action right now. Like this video so it reaches more visionaries. Share it with someone who needs to think bigger. And subscribe to this channel, because here we don't just tell stories, we help you build a future worth inheriting. The next 100 years are watching. What will you build?